Alright, we will be talking about properties in the operations of integers. Now, these properties, the first property is commutative property. Okay, now this commutative property is only for addition and multiplication. Now, there's no such commutative property of subtraction and commutative property of division. Okay, what is commutative property of addition? The order of the addends doesn't affect the sum. So this means that even if you interchange the addends, it doesn't affect the sum. Just like in the example number 1. So 2 plus negative 8 is equal to, if you interchange these two, the same answer will come up. Number 2 example, 5 plus 8. So when you will be applying addition, commutative property of addition, that's 8 plus 5. So number 3 examples, negative 2 plus negative 5. When you apply the commutative property of addition, that would be negative 5 plus negative 8. And likewise with number 4, 10 plus 8, when you apply the commutative property of addition, that would be 8 plus 10. Okay. Now another is the commutative property of multiplication. So the meaning of this is the order of the factors does not affect the product. Just like example number 1. So negative 2 times negative 5, when we simplify this, that's positive 10. So negative 2 times negative 5 is the same as negative 2 times negative 5 times negative 2. The same answer come up. Okay. Second example, 4 times 7 is the same as 7 times 4. And number 3, negative 6 times 3 is the same as 3 times negative 6. The order of the multiplicand and multiplier doesn't affect the product. Okay, let's have associative property. So the first one is associative property of addition and associative property of multiplication. Now, what is associative property of addition? So associative property of addition is groupings of the addends doesn't affect the sum. Say for example, the first was grouped here is 3 and 4 plus 5. So if we are going to evaluate this, it's the same as the answer with the right. So here 3 and 4 was grouped, here is 4 and 5. So they have the same answer. Now number 2, 7 plus 4 plus 9, quantity 4 plus 9. Now the first, no, 4 and 9 was grouped, and if we change the groupings, so here 7 and 4 was grouped here, here is 4 and 9, this right side and left side has the same answer. Okay, number 3, quantity negative 2 plus negative 3 plus 8. When we are to regroup this like this, the answer for this and the answer for this is the same. So groupings of the addends doesn't affect the sum. Okay. Now next, multiplication, groupings of the factors does not affect the product. So here is number 1. So the first we group here is negative 2 and 5 times 4. And on the right side, we group the 5 and 4. 5 times 4. Then we multiply it to negative 2. Okay. So the answer for this, if we evaluate this number, this left side, is the same. The answer for this is the same as the answer on the right side. It does. The product will not be affected. Okay. Now number 2. How will we apply the associative property of multiplication for number 2? So 5 times what numbers in which are grouped here on number 2? So it's negative 4 and negative 2. Now what do you expect are the numbers to be grouped on the right side? Okay, so if the numbers grouped in the left side is negative 4 and negative 2, now we could expect that on the right side, the numbers to be grouped is 5 and negative 4. 5 and negative 4. So it's multiplication. and we put outside -2. Okay, let's have number 3. Now, number 3, what are the numbers in which it was grouped on the left side? So these numbers are 2 and -3, and outside is -5. What do you expect are the numbers to be grouped on the right side? So obviously, the numbers to be grouped on the right side are the numbers -3 and -5. Here is it. Now, when we evaluate these numbers, 2 times -3 times -5 on the left side, its answer is the same as the answer on the right side. So that is what we call as groupings of factors does not affect the product. Okay, next. Okay, here is another one, identity property. So there, if we speak of identity property, there are two types, additive identity and multiplicative identity. So this is operation identity property of addition and identity property of multiplication. Now here are the examples. So the meaning of this is the sum of any number and 0 is the given number itself, and 0 is the additive identity element. Now any number added to 0, the answer is the number itself. Like for example, 5 plus 0, what is the answer? It's 5. So 0 is the identity element of addition. Now number 2 example, what is added to -3 to get -3? Still the answer is 0. Number 3, 120 plus 0 equals 120. So these are examples of additive identity where 0 is the additive identity element. So any number added to 0, the answer is the number itself. Now let's go to multiplicative identity. Now the meaning of multiplicative identity is that the product of any number and 1 is the given number itself. 1 is the multiplicative identity element. So if in additive identity it's 0 is the additive element or additive identity element, in multiplicative identity it is 1. So any number multiplied to 1 equals the number itself. Here is the example. 6 times 1, the answer is 6. Now what number to be multiplied to -15 to get -15? The answer is 1. So 1 is called as multiplicative identity element. Okay, number 3, 26 times 1, the answer is 26. Okay, here is another one. Here is it. Inverse property. Inverse. So, inverse property of addition or additive inverse, and inverse property of multiplication or multiplicative inverse. Now, additive inverse. So, the sum of a number and its opposite is 0. Okay, here is the example. So, what is the opposite of 15? It's -15. When you add up the two opposites, the answer is 0. Okay. Likewise with number 2, -8. What is added to -8 to get 0? So it's +8. Okay, number 3. What is added to 34 to get 0? Or what is the opposite of 34? The opposite of 34 is -34. So these two, if we add these two, the answer is 0. Okay, number 4. So -7 plus 7 equals 0. Okay, number 5. What is added to 45 to get 0? The answer is -45. Or what is the additive inverse of 45? Additive inverse of 45 is -45. Actually, it's opposite. Now let's talk about multiplicative inverse. What is multiplicative inverse? How to find out the multiplicative inverse of a certain number? The meaning of this is the product of a number and its multiplicative inverse or reciprocal is 1. So the answer is 1. Okay, here is the example. Now, 9 times 1 over 9 is equal to 1. Now, 9, its multiplicative inverse is 9. Its multiplicative inverse is 1 over 9. Actually, when we refer to multiplicative inverse, it also refers to reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 9 is 1 over 9. When we multiply 9 and its reciprocal, the answer is 1. Okay, another example. Number 2, negative 7 times what should be multiplied to negative 7 to get positive 1? So the answer is negative 1 over 7. Now here, number 3, what should be multiplied to 2/5 to get 1? Or what is the multiplicative inverse of 2/5? So the multiplicative inverse of 2/5 is its reciprocal. Its reciprocal, the reverse of 2/5 is 5 over 2. So this is the multiplicative inverse or the reciprocal of 2/5. When we multiply these two, the answer is 1. Now let's have distributive property. So distributive property is very useful when we speak of algebra because this is usually we are to apply, most especially in multiplying polynomials, distributive property. Now, negative 6 times quantity 5 plus 3. There are two ways on how to solve this. We could solve this by applying the PEMDAS. P means parentheses, or we could solve this through distributive property. How are we going to do it? Okay, here is it. Now, when we'll be solving through a PEMDAS, we have negative 6. We will add up 5 plus 3. The answer is 8. So negative 6 times 8, the answer is negative 48. Because when we'll be multiplying different sign, the answer is negative. Now, how this will be look like when we solve this in distributive property? Okay, so distributive property from the root word distribute. So you are to distribute negative 6 to 5 and to 3. That would be negative 6 times 5 and negative 6 times positive 3. Here is it. Okay, negative 6 times 5 plus negative 6 times 3. Negative 6 times 3. So what is the product for this? Negative 6 times positive 5. The answer is negative 30 because these two have different sign. And this also negative 6 times positive 3, the answer is negative 18. They are all negative. Take note, they are all negative if we associate this one into deposit and withdraw. So you have a withdrawal of 30 and a withdrawal of 18. How much is your withdrawal in all? So the answer is negative 48 or 48 withdrawal. See, they have the same answer. Okay. Now number 2, 3 times quantity negative 2 plus 5. So again, there are two ways on how to solve this. Number 1 is through PEMDAS and the other one is by distributive property. How about PEMDAS first? Now when we solve this one into PEMDAS, that will be 3 times, okay, negative 2 plus, okay, we split up 5, positive 5 into 2 and 3. So we're applying on addition. Okay, now we could cancel out negative 2 and 3, negative 2 and positive 2 rather. So the remaining here on the parenthesis is positive 3. Then that is what we will multiply. 3 times 3, the answer is 9. So our answer for this is 9 through using PEMDAS. But when we'll be using distributive property, this is how we are to do it. We will distribute 3 times negative 2 and 3 times positive 5. Okay, the operation is addition. So 3 times negative 2 here plus 3 times 5. Now, if we are to solve this, 3 times negative 2, expect the answer is negative because they have different sign. So the answer is negative 6. So 3 times 5, the answer is 15. Now look at, they have different sign. So applying addition rule or addition. So what number to be split up? So it's 15. We will break down 15 into 2 and its breakdown is all positive and one of its breakdown is the opposite of negative 6 which is positive 6. Okay, bring down negative 6 plus one of which breakdown of 15 is positive 6 plus 9. So 6 plus 9 is 15. Now we could cancel out this and this and the remaining number now is positive 9, and that's the answer. Okay, here is it. Now the other third example, 4 times quantity negative 7 plus 10. Again, when we solve this through PEMDAS, we could have 4 times negative 7 plus 10. We could split up 10 into 2, in which one of its breakdown is the opposite of negative 7, which is positive 7, and split 10 into 7 plus 3. Then we could cancel out negative 7 and 7 here, and the remaining number now is 3. 3 times 4, and the answer is 12. So this is by PEMDAS. How about distributive property? Okay, so distributive property, we will distribute 4 times negative 7, then 4 times positive 10, and the operations is plus. Here is it. Okay, 4 times 10. Solve 4 times negative 7, the answer is, you will expect that the answer is negative. That's negative 28 plus 4 times 10, that's 40. Okay, so what number to be split up is 40, because 40 has the greater absolute value. So one of its breakdown is the opposite of negative 48. 28 is the opposite of negative 28, which is positive 28. Okay, positive 28. And, okay, positive 28 plus 12, that yields to 40. 28 plus 12 yields to 40. So this is the breakdown of 40. Then we could cancel out negative 48. So the remaining number now is positive 12. See, they have the same answer. Okay, let's have number 4 example. 3 times quantity negative 5 minus 8. So the same process we will be doing. Answering this by PEMDAS. That's 3 times negative 5 minus 8. Apply the rule of subtraction. Change the sign of the subtrahend and proceed to addition. So this minus becomes plus, and this positive 8 becomes negative 8. So they are all negative. If we are to associate this one into a deposit withdrawal, these are all withdrawal. So a withdrawal of 5 and a withdrawal of 8 yields a withdrawal of 13. So negative 13 times 5, times 3, the answer is negative 39. It's because negative times positive, that's negative. 3 times 13, that's 39. Okay, on the other process, that by applying the distributive property, we will distribute 3 times negative 5 and 3 times negative 8. Or that's it. So we have 3 times negative 5 and 3 times negative 8. Okay. Okay, 3 times negative 5 and 3 times negative 8. Now, 3 times negative 5 is negative 15, and 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. So they are both negative. They are both withdrawal 15 and withdrawal 24 yields a withdrawal of 39 or negative 39. So see, they are the same. The left and the right have the same answer.